On February 1st, 2025, US President Donald Trump sent shockwaves through global markets, announcing his plan to impose tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. His message was clear: comply with US demands on immigration and trade, or face immediate economic consequences. But Mexico and China aren't backing down. Behind the scenes, they've been forging strategic alliances designed to counter Washington's influence. The balance of power in North America is shifting. With rising tensions between the US and Mexico, Washington's recent actions have pushed its southern neighbor to explore new economic alliances. But does this mean the US is losing its grip on the region? Or will it fight to maintain its dominance? Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep bringing you in-depth analysis. Now let's get started.
We have seen 18 months in a row now with ever increasing, basically all-time high monthly imports from China to Mexico.
Mexico's economic landscape has long been intertwined with that of the United States, primarily due to trade agreements like the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, and its successor, the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. These pacts have facilitated a robust exchange of goods and services, with approximately 82% of Mexican exports destined for the US market. This heavy reliance, however, has rendered Mexico susceptible to American economic fluctuations, policy shifts, and trade disputes. For instance, recent US tariff impositions have prompted Mexico and Canada to consider retaliatory measures, highlighting the vulnerabilities inherent in such dependence. In recent years, Mexico has actively sought to diversify its economic partnerships, with China emerging as a significant collaborator. Between 2018 and 2023, Chinese investments in Mexico reached approximately $2.3 billion, encompassing sectors such as automotive, infrastructure, and energy. Notably, in 2023, Mexico overtook China as the United States' largest trading partner, highlighting its rising influence in global trade. Mexico's growing ties with China offer greater economic autonomy, but also raise concerns in Washington over Beijing's expanding presence next door. A stronger Mexico-China relationship could challenge US economic dominance, sparking tensions over trade and geopolitical alignments. However, Mexico isn't relying solely on China. The country has also deepened ties with other economies, notably finalizing a long-awaited trade agreement with the EU to reduce reliance on the US. This deal eliminates high tariffs and ensures fair treatment for businesses, reinforcing Mexico's global integration strategy. While these efforts toward economic diversification are commendable, they are not without challenges. Increased Chinese investment fuels worries that Mexico could become a backdoor for Chinese goods into the US, complicating its position amid ongoing US-China trade disputes. So how does China navigate this trade partnership? The strategy is both simple and strategic. China's investments in Mexico have gradually surpassed traditional trade, with over $13 billion in play, embedding deeply into critical sectors such as electric vehicles, renewable energy, and infrastructure. This strategic move not only increases China's global economic footprint, but also positions Mexico as a key player in these growing industries. First, let's talk about Chinese automakers who are making significant inroads into Mexico's automotive market. BYD, for instance, has become the largest car supplier in Mexico, with exports reaching $4.6 billion in 2023.
What we're trying to do is bring stuff from all over the world to Mexico, manufacture here, and send it again abroad.
The company is contemplating establishing a new auto plant in Mexico, potentially creating approximately 10,000 jobs. Similarly, MG Motor, owned by China's SAIC Motor Corp, announced plans to build a manufacturing plant and a research and development center in Mexico, aiming to produce market-specific intelligence for Latin America. These developments are not isolated. SolarEver Electric Vehicles, SEV, plans to construct a new plant in Durango, with an investment of approximately $397 million. The factory is expected to produce 5,000 electric vehicles in its first year and 20,000 in its second, eventually reaching a capacity of 50,000 vehicles annually. Then there is renewable energy too. China's commitment to renewable energy in Mexico is evident through substantial investments. Trina Solar, a Chinese company specializing in photovoltaic products and systems, plans to invest between $700 million and $1 billion in Nuevo Leon. This investment proves China's dedication to advancing solar energy infrastructure in Mexico. Additionally, a dozen Chinese companies are investing in solar and wind energy projects across various Mexican states. These initiatives aim to promote the development of renewable energies and support the optimization of Mexico's energy structure. China's influence extends to infrastructure development in Mexico. Investments in new ports, railroads, and logistics hubs are part of a broader strategy to enhance trade routes and supply chain efficiency. These projects not only facilitate smoother trade flows, but also strengthen Mexico's position as a critical node in global logistics. By establishing manufacturing plants in Mexico, Chinese companies can bypass U.S. tariffs, leveraging Mexico's favorable trade agreements, such as the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. This strategy allows China to maintain competitive pricing in the North American market while mitigating the impact of trade tensions with the U.S. Moreover, China's deepening involvement in Mexico positions it as a long-term strategic partner, extending beyond mere trade relationships. This partnership encompasses technology transfer, job creation, and infrastructure development, contributing to Mexico's economic growth and industrial diversification. Now let's shift focus to the leverage China has and why they are such a threat to the industries in the United States. Now is the perfect moment for China to assert dominance as the world scrambles for lithium, the backbone of modern energy storage. Dubbed the white gold of the 21st century, lithium is essential for electric vehicles and renewable energy. With demand soaring, competition is fierce, and China and Mexico hold a clear edge. Mexico has emerged as a key player in the global lithium race. With vast reserves, the country holds deposits capable of fueling the world's growing demand. Studies suggest Mexico could produce millions of tons of lithium-rich minerals, enough to reshape the EV battery supply chain. No longer a bystander, it is now a strategic force with the potential to shift energy power dynamics. Lithium extraction is far from a simple mining process. It relies on advanced hydrometallurgy and chemical separation techniques, constantly evolving as demand surges. But this race isn't just about mining, it's about securing the future of battery technology. Could these advancements give China the ultimate edge? China has aggressively secured its lithium supply through long-term deals across South America and, increasingly, Mexico. By locking in multi-decade contracts and investing in mining infrastructure, Beijing has cemented its control over the supply chain. These billion-dollar agreements, often paired with joint ventures and technology transfers, position China as a frontrunner in the global EV revolution. Its vast supply network could give it a decisive edge in future technological breakthroughs. Meanwhile, the U.S. is struggling to keep pace. Despite its leadership in innovation, its approach to securing lithium has been slower and less coordinated than China's bold moves. Reports highlight gaps in strategy, with American companies investing heavily in battery research yet relying on foreign raw materials. This reliance creates vulnerabilities in the supply chain that could have significant implications for national security and economic stability. Experts warn that without a proactive policy to invest in domestic lithium extraction and refining capabilities, the U.S. risks ceding control over a resource that will power tomorrow's transportation and energy systems. Is it possible that a lack of clear policy could undermine the technological advances made on the home front? Washington isn't ignoring the challenge, and it's starting to push back. As a strategic move to strengthen its position in the electric vehicle market, the United States has raised tariffs on Chinese EVs and related components. In 2024, the Biden administration quadrupled tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports, increasing them from 25% to 100%. This decision is part of a broader strategy to protect the American auto industry and ensure that EV production remains within the U.S., under the control of American workers. The heightened tariffs are set to be implemented over the next 3 years, targeting not only EVs but also solar cells, steel, aluminum, and other goods. While currently Chinese EVs have a minimal presence in the U.S. market, officials express concern that affordable models, made possible through Chinese government subsidies, could soon crash the market average price. A major concern is the opening of Chinese factories in Mexico, which could allow China to bypass U.S. tariffs and export vehicles to the U.S. through the USMCA. The U.S. administration is particularly apprehensive about Chinese automakers setting up operations in Mexico. Companies like MG, BYD, and Chery are reportedly in discussions to build factories in Mexico, a development that has raised alarms in Washington. The concern is that these factories could serve as backdoors for Chinese EVs to enter the U.S. market, circumventing the imposed tariffs. In response to these developments, U.S. Trade Representative Katherine Tai has indicated that the administration is monitoring the situation closely. The U.S. is considering measures to prevent Chinese companies from using Mexico as a conduit to bypass tariffs and flood the American market with subsidized EVs. But this is not the only problem the U.S. has with China. The other issue is with the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. In recent years, China has significantly strengthened its position in Latin America by securing infrastructure and economic agreements with numerous countries in the region. China's investments in Mexico have primarily focused on infrastructure projects, aiming to modernize and develop the country's transportation and trade capabilities. These developments have the potential to position Mexico as a pivotal transit hub for Chinese goods entering the Americas, potentially reducing U.S. dominance in regional trade. The U.S. risks being outmaneuvered in its own backyard if these trends continue. The implications of this shift are serious. A reorientation of trade routes could divert global trade flows away from the U.S., challenging its long-standing economic influence in the region. This scenario raises questions about the future dynamics of North American trade and the strategic responses required from the U.S. to maintain its position. In a related development, the U.S. has intensified scrutiny of tariff exemptions that have been exploited by Chinese e-commerce sellers. This crackdown has inadvertently affected American online retailers, compelling them to reassess their international supply chains. With all these happening, can we say the United States is losing its influence? In recent years, China's influence in Latin America, particularly in Panama and South America, has grown significantly, causing unease in the United States. This expansion is evident through increased investments, infrastructure projects, and strengthened diplomatic ties. The U.S. views these developments as encroachments into a region traditionally within its sphere of influence. A focal point of this tension is the Panama Canal, a critical maritime route for global trade. Chinese companies, such as Hong Kong-based CK Hutchison Holdings, operate ports at both ends of the canal. This presence has led to U.S. concerns over potential strategic implications. On February 2, 2025, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio visited Panama and urged President José Raúl Mulino to diminish China's involvement in the canal's operations. Rubio stated that if Panama does not take steps to curb Chinese influence, the U.S. may consider measures to protect its interests. In response to U.S. pressure, President Mulino announced that Panama would not renew its agreement with China's Belt and Road Initiative, signaling a shift in its foreign policy. Despite this, Mulino emphasized Panama's sovereignty and stated that there was no immediate threat to the canal's neutrality. Beyond Panama, China's influence in Latin America is expanding through massive investments in energy and telecommunications. In countries like Brazil, Argentina, and Venezuela, Beijing is strengthening its presence in key sectors, from mining to advanced technology. This deepening economic engagement is unsettling for Washington, as it could lead to a significant shift in the geopolitical balance of the Western Hemisphere. The former head of U.S. Southern Command, Admiral Craig Fowler, has warned that immediate action is necessary. Otherwise, America risks permanently losing its strategic advantage. If the U.S. continues its aggressive economic pressure on Mexico, could it ultimately push the country closer to China? How would that reshape the balance of power in North America? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.